give me the sales territory key, give me the quantity, and give me the sales amount. Massive data reduction. And then I come to my date. Same thing. Let me rename the query. This will become my date table. Let me choose columns. I want my date key. I want to know what the calendar year, and I want to know what the, where's my plan? And then for sales territories, we'll call this region. Only import the columns I need. Sales territory key, region, country. And I'll make the effort to rename these so they're more friendly. In a project that I would work on, this would be the most time-consuming part of the project, is getting this right. In my demonstration to you this evening, is to make it very simple and quick. I have 3 queries that are transforming the data from a warehouse, and now I apply those queries. Literally, the data is being imported from the source database and stored inside a model of the Power BI desktop file. Right, now when I go ahead and save this, I want to show you that the size of that file has now grown from 12 kilobytes to 190. And now the fun begins. Let's do some visualization of this data. So let me start by introducing that I have a model that looks like this. Date, region, and sales. I'm going to clean things up a little bit by hiding. See what I've just done? I've hidden columns that I do not want user to see. And I might also rename some columns. This should be month, and this is just year. This one here can just be quantity. This one here is sales. I want you to imagine that this warehouse has hundreds of millions of sales transactions. Having imported that data, it is now optimized for very efficient querying like this. Let me produce a slicer over here, and I want this to be a list. So now the user can interactively filter by the year 2012. Next, I want to bring in a visual to show the months. And I want to see the sales. What else could I do? Well, let me also bring in that the quantity should be shown as a line chart. And I should be sorting this not by sales, I should be sorting this by month. Are you happy with this report? I'm sorting my sales by month. Would my manager be happy with this report? And if not, why not? What is the problem with months?
Not correctly ordered.
Not correctly ordered. What order should they be in?
January.
Okay. So we say in English, the months should not be alphabetically sorted. They should be chronologically sorted in order of time. Okay. So this requires me to do a little bit of modeling. So let me just demonstrate the ability to come to this table and to add what I would say is a calculated column. I'm going to call this the month key. But what I need to do is somehow, what do I need to do here? I need to extract. I'm actually going to do it a different way. I'm going to go back to my Power Query and I'm going to come to date. And I'm going to add in a new column here. This will be called month key. Does anybody know Power Query in the room? date. Go and get me whatever the year is of the full date alternate key, multiplied by 100. Okay, and then on top of that, I want you to add whatever the date.month value is. Let's see what happens. So what I've just introduced is a new column that looks like this. The January of 2005 has a month key of 200501. Okay. Let's see, and then I need to come to my remove columns. I need to make sure that month key is available and it's an integer. And then I go ahead and I load this back to the model. Look at this. Now I have this extra column in the model. Do you know that that actually cost me something? Did it increase the size of the model? It did, but not by more than 1 kilobyte. It did import additional data. But the reason that I'm importing this data, let's see. Back in this report, I want you to witness that currently the sort order is alphabetical and descending. Alright, so the first thing I will fix is I will make this ascending. April, August, December, February. But then what I'll do is I will then modify that the month field will sort, and watch closely, by month key. Can't sort by month key because there's more than one value for month key with the same. Right? What? Ah, okay. Then I need to do one more thing. Now I can add a calculator. Month of year equals, give me the year, concatenate a space, and give me a month. What I really meant to add was this. And I'll improve it just a little bit. Very much because DAX, the language I'm using, is just like Excel. I will say, give me this. I will come back to this report. I will remove month and put month of year. All right, we still have a problem that it's not sorting. Correct. I'll make that ascending. And now, month of year will sort by month key. What you are witnessing is real world modeling. I have data, I need to visualize it, I need to manipulate and optimize and prepare the data in the model. All right, that's one more thing. Let's just bring in a map. I would like to see on a map what the sales for the year and the country. There we go. Now, when I save this file, I want you to appreciate that we now have, it actually dropped in size, 189 kilobytes, representing a model of imported data from the AdventureWorks database and some visualizations. And now what I'm going to do is save as to Power BI report server, and I'm going to save this as monthly sales. So the model and the report is being published to the report server. Let's switch back to the report server, return home, and then what we should see is that on the same server we have a Power BI report and a paginated report. Very different technologies. When we open up monthly sales, and this is the strength of Power BI reporting today, is that this is a very interactive experience. That I could filter by a different year. I could cross-highlight on a month, and then I could learn that for that month in 2013, there were 5,629 sales in the United States. That is a very simple example. And so what I would like you to understand is that on Power BI Report Server, you have two different types of reports. One that is designed for the purpose of printing, and another that is designed for the purpose of interactivity, discovery, and exploration, all together in one server. That is a very, very basic introduction to Power BI Report Server. It is an extremely powerful reporting product, bringing together the best of mature reporting technology from SQL Server and the interactive visualizations from the Power BI service itself. Let me just call out one thing. Back in the Power BI service, when I showed you this dashboard, this is not a capability of Power BI Report Server. Power BI Report Server doesn't work with dashboards or real-time dashboards. It works only with the interactive reports as you see here. Okay? But this, in my experience, most of my customers, 95% of the work is in this reporting. Okay. So tonight I wanted to demonstrate both of the techniques and explain to you that they live together on this one server. And then I'd like to leave you with an understanding of how you can install Power BI Report Server on premises. There are two licensing pathways. The first is that you have a Power BI Premium license. The second is that you have SQL Server Enterprise with software assurance. This could mean SQL Server 2016, 2017, 2019. With software assurance, you are allowed at no cost to install Power BI Report Server on premises. Okay? Must make it clear, it cannot be installed in the cloud. Power BI Report Server is designed only for on-premises installation. There is an additional licensing cost that if you are going to publish, as I did, when I published a Power BI Report Server, the publisher needs a Power BI Pro license, right? But the consumer that would come to the web browser and open the report and interact does not need any license. And if you open up FileWall ports, they could use their mobile phone, authenticate on your network, and securely access those reports on the mobile device of their choice. This is the story that I came here tonight to share with you. And that brings me to the end of this very brief presentation. And I welcome any questions that you might have at this stage. Yes. Have you changed your mind? Do you want a shirt instead of an umbrella?
No, not yet. So I have 3 questions. Thank you. Actually, I have 3 questions. Our company have a hybrid data. We have both SQL data and no SQL data. So I want to know, first of all, I want to know if Microsoft have any plan to integrate this Power BI with NoSQL, like MongoDB, or it's not going to happen in the near future?
Okay, there's 2 ways that I want to answer the question about those types of data sources. The technology that Power BI uses is a tabular modeling technology. So it ultimately expects that the data can be expressed in forms of tables, columns, and rows. Okay? So that will often mean for non-relational stores that there is some work to do to achieve that result over the data. The second thing that I want to say, and I will show you, that to answer questions about what are supported sources, in Power BI Desktop, you can come to Get Data, you can click on More, and if you just simply type in, and I know the word you used was Mongo, no, we don't see it's supported, but if we typed in HDFS, we would see, okay, for the moment, Power BI will support these big data stores. So what that would suggest is that if you have data in MongoDB, you want to work with Power BI today, you'll need to extract into perhaps a relational store, not the big data, but a representation of the big data. And once you've stored that in a relational store, then it's very simple for Power BI to connect to it. If enough customers want MongoDB, then expect in the future there could be direct connectivity, providing that you can give a tabular expression of that data to Power BI. Does that help with your question?
Definitely, it's one solution. I have another question. It's just to be clear, clarify. You said for this version, we cannot get data from like real-time data from database directly, because I saw you dump the data in memory or dump local.
Let me answer the question by showing you. I didn't complete the configuration. When I uploaded that file, the imported data is static. It would require me to come and, as an owner of that report, to manage it, to come to the data sources, to enter some credentials that Power BI Report Server can use on a scheduled basis to connect. Let me quickly show you. So what I'm attempting to do is to put this credential. Now that Power BI Report Server has access to a stored credential, we could then come in here and configure a scheduled refresh. And therefore, on a scheduled basis, that you will see that you can come in here and say every hour between midnight and 4 p.m. Go ahead and re-import the data from the AdventureWorks database to keep it up to date. So the answer on real time is it just depends on what you mean by real time. For some companies, every hour update is real time. The example of the dashboard, when you entered your survey, Power BI Report Server will not do it. It will refresh up to the hour to keep your data current. If you want real-time dashboards, you will need to use the Power BI service.
Sorry, very last question.
You're welcome.
Simple one. Can we embed any SVG or D3 if we don't like to chart here?
Oh, excellent question. So yes, Power BI does support the ability to import a custom visual file. All right, so this is a topic for developers that have D3 skills or any web graphics skills. Ultimately, Power BI is an HTML rendering service. So you can build custom visuals, you may import them into your reports, and you can express your data in whatever way makes sense. Okay? So yes, the answer is there is extensibility, but it is not a simple thing to do. A developer might spend weeks producing a single custom visual. Can I just quickly demonstrate this one? Because we can go to the marketplace. I'm going to open the other version of Power BI Desktop because I have pre-signed in and I cannot remember the account. All right, but just to show you that if I came in here and said import from the marketplace, you will find that there are now over 100 custom visuals that you can use. For example, one of my favorite ones is the chord. And therefore, you can use other people's custom visuals, or you can develop your own. So that's the answer to your question. Yes, yes, and yes. Is that your last question for now?
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
I have a question. In the Microsoft Report Server, if user would like to see the report usage metric, but is not have in Power BI Report Server, do you have any suggestion for this mission?
Can you repeat the feature you're looking for? Can you repeat the feature?
User would like to see report usage metric like it on the Power BI service.
Oh.
How many user to click to view the report? But
Okay,
as you
so
see-
you want detailed activity logging?
Yes.
Okay, good question. I don't have the answer for you today. What you do have, okay, so reporting services is very thorough in logging, but it does it differently. Are you familiar with reporting services? Yes, so you know that every report request is logged into the report server database.
I see in log in database, but user would like to see how many people to click for view report in the report server, and he would like to know more, like how many time when the end user log in fail or suggest how many time to view this report.
Okay, so the authentication failures, I don't think we could help you with that, but if you came into, there's an execution table, I cannot see it right now. Everything report server does, the parameters, so RDL reporting is always done logging. Your answer to your question, which users, which report, when, is being logged, okay? One quick thing is, there is a property that says how long do you keep the history? And I think by default, after 60 days, it's automatically deleted. Are you familiar with this in reporting services? Because what I would recommend is that you just query these tables and you will see that the user, the time, the report is all logged. The failures, no, the authentication failures won't be logged. My apologies, my machine is very slow. See if I can quickly see it. Execution, no. History, no. Logging. Yeah, this is the one. Enable report execution logging is on, and keep it up for 60 days. And to be honest, it's one of these tables, can anybody see it? Where all of report logging happens. I don't think it's history, that sounds too obvious. Can anybody see it?
I think it's
Execution log storage.
in view folder. In view folder is execution log tree.
Here it is here. There's the reports that I ran for you tonight. There was an RPL report, that's RDL. There is the parameter that was passed in. There was a PBIX. This was the user that ran the report. It's all being logged. Okay, so have a closer look. You can build reporting services reports on top of this table to analyze the usage of the reporting services reports. Okay, any other questions this evening?
Thank you.
มีใครมีคำถามอะไรเพิ่มเติมไหมครับ
Alright, if I do a quick search here and I say download Power BI report server, what do I find? Download Power BI report service for September 2019. I understand you can download and install it as evaluation. Providing you don't use it for production reporting, you can trial and evaluate Power BI Report Server today. The moment you use it in production, what were the two licensing possibilities? How do we get Power BI Report Server for production use? Who would like a cat? Okay, number one, Power BI Premium License. We'll get you Power BI Report Server on premises. The second, and very, very much aligned to tonight's presentation, SQL Server License. For enterprise software assurance, we'll get you Power BI Report Server to install on premises. I guess I keep the cats. All right. Are there any final questions or any way to give away the final? How can we do this? We have 2 hats, we have 2 shirts, and we have a single mouse pad. Who wants the mouse pad? Nobody wants the mouse pad. Come on, yes! See, it's that easy. I will tell you the size of this shirt is large, and the size of this shirt?
No, 3XL
3XL.
ใครชื่อ XL ไหมอันนี้ผมหาได้แจกมีใครไซส์ 3XL ไหมครับ น้ำหนักเกิน100 โลเลยนะยกมือครับ Last. Okay.
Who's the 3XL? I want it. Thank you.
Okay.
And then 2 beautiful caps. This side of the room, okay, yes, you were very fast. Well done. And
แจกวันนี้คอนเสิร์ตเลยนะ
all right, well, I will take this opportunity to say thank you very much for your time, your interest, and your attendance this evening.